the choices you made, did you make them again, 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 again? All the lies that you told, did you believe in them? All the choices you made, did you make them again, 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 again? All the lies that you told, did you believe in them? Again, 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 again.
Hello, and welcome to the channel, The Deceiving Truth. My name is Tony. You know, when I was young, I was fascinated by magic tricks. I would wonder how someone could take a coin and put it in one hand, close that hand while I'm watching, open it back up, and that coin is no longer in that hand. Then they would take their other hand and put it behind my ear, and that same coin that was once in the right hand was now coming from behind my ear. I was very fascinated with that. As I got older and wanted to learn, a magician told me, he said, a good magician gets the audience to focus on one hand so they don't see what the other hand is doing. Now, when I started to study religion, study the whole Jehovah Witness religion specifically, I come to the conclusion that Satan has done the same thing with witnesses. Let me explain. In John 1:1, the focus is so much on the indefinite article, whether or not the word is God or a God, that nobody really realized that the word was never created. Let's break it down. Okay, let's go to Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Let's read it one more time. In the beginning, God. Where did God come from? God had no beginning. But God created time for his creation. Since God created time for his creation, that means that he is outside of time. That means he was never created. That means he is from forever to forever. He has no beginning. Okay. Now, let's go to John 1:1. Okay. We read, in the beginning was the word. Okay. Let's go back to Genesis. In the beginning, God created. John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Okay, that doesn't sound right. Okay, let's go on down to verse number 2. The same, who they talking about? The Word. The same was in the beginning with God. Okay, so in the beginning, God created, and in the beginning was the Word. Where was the Word created? Doesn't say. Okay, let's go on down to verse number 3. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Okay, who we're talking about? We are talking about the Word. Now, angels were created. Humans were created. Satan himself was created. Now, how could the Word create himself? Because it's my understanding that Jehovah Witnesses believe that the archangel Michael became Jesus. Okay, but my question to them is, when did the Word create himself? If the archangel is a creation and the Word was with God in the beginning, he has no created time. He was never created. How did he create himself? Okay, let's go on down to verse number 4. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. Okay? In him. In the Word. Okay? Now, this is the verse that a lot of us just bypass. And it's verse number 5. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. What does that mean? Okay. The darkness doesn't understand. Jesus is the light. Therefore, humans, the world, is darkness. In John 1:1, something was said that as humans in our carnal mind, we cannot understand. We cannot understand how there is one God, yet you're telling me in John 1:1 that the Word was also God. That necessarily doesn't make logical sense to carnal creatures. And verse 5 is explaining just that. That the previous verses, specifically 1, said something that people who are in darkness cannot understand. They cannot understand how God could be God and the Word could be God at the same time. Did you see that? Now, that is how Satan has deceived 8 million by them simply not reading and understanding what the Bible really teach.